different during this pandemic in regard to what are the best ways to protect ourselves. Do we wear masks? Do we wear gloves? But the one thing that I'm seeing consistently while being out in the community when I need to be is that people who are wearing masks and gloves, many of them don't know how to properly utilize these materials. And while they're trying to protect themselves and their neighbors, they may actually be doing more harm than good. So today we're talking about the proper use of masks and gloves during the pandemic. Welcome to Fearless Fridays, where we are talking about everything health and wellness related. My name is Dr. Melissa Chofi. I am the owner of New Quest Physical Therapy, a mobile practice serving areas in New York and Connecticut. There is so much misinformation out there in regard to the medical field, and with our healthcare model increasingly putting profits over patients, you as consumers need to be given all the tools you need to demand what you deserve, ensuring a strong, resilient, fulfilled, and fearless life. My goal is to empower all of you to stand up for yourselves and be able to call BS in a realm that is overwhelming and confusing. Let's get into the episode. In regard to mask use, there's so much conflicting information out there. Do we need to wear them? Do we not need to wear them? So a lot of places I'm seeing it's used as a precaution, especially in areas that are heavily affected by COVID. So if using a mask eases your mental health around this whole thing, then go by all means go out and use one. Our mental health is one thing that we really need to protect during something like this because we're getting adjusted to so many different things and such a new way of life that our mental health really needs to be intact to be able to carry us through this. So the first thing I'm going to say is that please, I cannot even say this enough, please, if you are not an essential employee and you're only going out to the grocery store, please stick to a cloth mask and not the medical masks or the N95s because especially in New York, we are still in a shortage. There are still medical professionals who do not have the proper equipment. And if people are buying that up, they're even less protected. They're already at a heightened risk of getting the virus. Don't make them even more susceptible than they need to be. So that's just my soapbox rant. So you using a mask is more so for the protection of those around you than actually protecting yourself. And when I say that, I mean that we all know that they're saying that a lot of people who are asymptomatic are actually carrying and spreading this virus. So this is protecting those around you from getting it if you potentially have it. That being said, nothing takes the place of staying within physical distancing parameters and not being an idiot when you go out in the public. And not touching your face. So I happen to have one of the medical masks. My neighbor's daughter is a nurse, and she brought up a bunch of them for us. I personally don't go out in a mask, but that's another story for another day. So when you put the mask on, you're going to wash your hands first, and then you're going to hold it by the ear loops here. If you have those little strings, you're going to hold it by the string, and you're going to put it on this way. Now, make sure you're covering your nose, your chin, and your mouth because what I'm seeing is people are not covering their nose, and that's part of the problem. So make sure you're covering all of that. You want to then pinch the front. This is the only time you're going to touch the front of your mask. You're going to pinch it so that it comes and forms to the bridge of your nose, and then you want there to be flatness around your face. Because another thing I'll see is that people are wearing these masks and the masks on the side are flopping in the wind. And again, that does nothing. So make sure that you're doing that. Go about your day and then throw it away. Masks like these are one-time use. You don't use it multiple times for multiple days. And I had to give my neighbor a lecture on this morning, and he was actually very shocked. But yes, you use it once, you throw it out. If it gets moist, you throw it out. And then when it's on, the way to take it off, you're going to wash your hands and you're going to take the loops or sanitize. Wash or sanitize. Wash is always better. So it's on this way. You're not going to touch the front. Do not touch the front. You're going to grab the loops and pull it off that way. And then wash your hands after. You can never be too careful with washing your hands. I probably tell people to wash them more often than not, but this is a precaution. For the cloth masks, you should be washing them after each use. This is why it's preferable if you are wearing a mask to have a few in rotation. This way you can throw one in the wash and then you can wear the next one tomorrow. But again, one-time use. When they get moist or wet, please wash them and use a dry one. So now we come to glove use. And if there's anything you pay attention to and you're wearing something, please pay attention to this, because this is what I see most consistently incorrect, if that makes sense. So, wearing gloves does not give you immunity to this virus. It doesn't totally protect you from getting anything. In fact, if you're using them incorrectly, you could actually be doing more of a detriment to yourself and those around you, because you might be spreading the virus even more so than if you just had bare hands. The good thing with bare hands is that you can sanitize in between. You can wash your hands, and then you're okay. But with gloves, people think that they have this false sense of immunity to everything around them, and that's just not the case. So that being said, you want to wash your hands or sanitize your hands before you put your gloves on, and then you're going to put your gloves on after you get out of the car. Like, you're not touching anything. Put the gloves on before you go into the store after you get out of the car. You can even put them on after you get in the store if there's like one of those automatic doors, so you don't have to touch anything. But the point is, get out of the car first, then put your gloves on. Just like the mask, the outside of your gloves act like they're always contaminated. Do not let them touch anything on your person. Don't let them touch your face. You shouldn't be grabbing your purse with them. You shouldn't be grabbing your keys. You shouldn't be paying with your credit card with these same gloves on, because you just use these gloves to touch things in the store that is not yours. This also doesn't mean that you can go up to things and just touch everything. Look at something. You're in the meat case, you're looking, you're eyeballing what you want, and then you grab what you want. Don't touch everything, because again, you can be cross-contaminating everything. So that being said too, before you pay, it's probably the best idea to remove your gloves, sanitize your hands, and then go and get your wallet or whatever you're using to pay. Because again, cross-contamination is big with these. I don't even know why they're telling people to wear them. This is the other thing I see a lot. Don't touch your phone when you have these gloves on. Don't touch your door handle to your car. So if you think about it, you just touched everything in the store with the gloves, right? You go and you open your car door. You then touch the steering wheel. Like, I see people driving with them. So everything, God forbid something in that store had it. Now it's all over your car. So then what happens one day when you're like, oh crap, my purse is in my car? You run out to the car in the garage and you open the door. Now you're touching the handle with your bare hands that you just might have contaminated with your gloves. Do you see what I'm getting at? So while I think these are, depending on the person, maybe a good precaution, I don't know. I think that just washing your hands and being mindful of your surroundings and being mindful of what you're doing, not touching your face when you're out in public, and just constant hygiene and being mindful of what's going on and what you're doing is the best bet against this versus using these things. Because my other concern is everybody's stockpiling gloves, and again, the medical community needs them more than we do. So the fact that we're using them and they have limited resources and they really need them to deal with patients and they're on the front lines of this, there's no reason why we need to be hoarding this stuff and using it when our medical professionals should be. The other thing that really needs to stop is this demonizing over social media that I'm seeing in regard to calling out specific establishments and stores saying these cashiers aren't wearing gloves. So based off what I said before, in order for this to be effective, cashier needs to change their gloves between every customer, because they're touching money, they're touching credit cards, and they're touching your stuff. So God forbid Susie Q in front of me has something contaminated. The cashier just touched her credit card, and now she's touching all my stuff that's coming through, and then my credit card. So then it's in my pocket. I purposely, and again, this is me, I purposely go to cashiers that are not wearing gloves, and I see them sanitizing in between each customer versus cashiers that have gloves, because most likely they're not changing gloves between cashiers. So now we're going to review how to take them off properly. Again, so I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist. I need gloves for my profession, so that's why I have them. I don't wear them out in public. So again, you go grocery shopping, you're going to take these off before you go to grab your method of payment or your cell phone or whatever. preferably at the end of your trip. Everything in the middle of the trip can wait. The end of the trip, just before you pay, this is what you're going to do. So outside of the gloves are contaminated, right? You're going to take one hand, you're going to pinch the outside of this glove, pull it off, crumple it up. This hand, you're going to take the inside here, pull it off. You have a nice little ball. I'm touching the inside of the glove. You're going to throw it in the garbage, because if I see another pair of gloves on the floor of a grocery store parking lot, I'm going to lose it, because that is so disrespectful and disgusting, and we're better than that. You throw it out, you sanitize. If you're lucky, you wash your hands, and then go to your car. That's it. So that's the nitty gritty of it, guys. That's proper mask and glove use. If you decide to use both of those, again, leave the professional equipment to the medical professionals. They really need it more so than we do. If you practice proper hygiene, if you practice physical distancing, and you're smart and you're not touching your face and all this other stuff that we've been hearing, you probably don't really need masks or gloves unless you're, I don't know, if you want to take an extra precaution, whatever. But just make sure that you're doing it correctly, because while you're good intended upon using these to stop infection, you might actually be spreading the infection even more so. So as always, just keep educating yourselves, keep asking questions, demand better for your healthcare and your healthcare providers, and most importantly, stay fearless. And we'll see you next time.